You're watching the Tesla Life live with your host, Mark Hudlin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 372. Here we are, August the 14th, 2024. Man, we are well past halfway into summer, just for those that are keeping score out there. If you haven't had your summer fun yet, get it going, because you're going to miss the boat if you don't. But with that said, let's introduce our regular panel hosts, co-hosts. Mr. Casey Green joins us from the Mid-Atlantic states. How are you today, sir?
Drying out. Good, but, nice. Some parts of town received 20 inches of rain. I don't know how much we received, but none of it flooded, thankfully. So,
were you the guy that was driving around in your Tesla, going through those lakes, just trying to show off to the cameras that you could actually go through them?
I probably could have done that, but remember, my rear motor is leaking coolant, so I didn't want to introduce water into it.
Yeah, probably good. Probably good plan. Good plan. Also with us, as per usual, Mr. Patrick Connor from the West Coast. How are you today, sir?
Hello, I am good. Speaking of summer fun, our air conditioner is finally working again. It was no fun to be without the AC unit. Yes. And since this is a Tesla podcast, I can share that it was related to our power walls. So when you get power walls, if you have an air conditioning unit, sometimes, depending on how many you have and how big your AC unit is, they have to install something called a soft start or a sure start. Yeah, and it prevents the inrush current from spiking up too high, because when a motor starts, it's very juice hungry. Speaking of the juice, we got Mr. Juice over there. So this prevents too much current from being drawn from the batteries at once, which could cause the breaker to flip and your batteries to turn off. And that unit died, and so that's what needs to be replaced. And right now, I just to get the AC working, I'm running without it completely. So if the power goes out, I might have to go turn my batteries off and just not use them, or just take my chances. We've got 3 power walls, and the AC is not that big. I think Tesla was being a little cautious by putting it in, and I guess I'm willing to risk it.
You mentioned that, and now that Powerwall 3 is starting to get deployed with the 180 LRA.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so Powerwall 3 has much more current capacity than my Powerwall 2s, and so this becomes less of an issue with their newer products. And thanks for rubbing it in that I don't have it, Casey.
And my AC doesn't work at all on the battery, so or not. But
also,
you guys have AC? What?
That, of course, is Mr. Brian White from FutureAZA joining us today. How are you today, Brian?
I am doing so good. I know you guys had, a couple of you at least had hinted that I should probably come back. And, my travel schedule is never going to die down. So I was like, today, it's got to be today. I'm doing it. So I'm excited to be here. And by the way, the travel schedule is, I don't know, Casey, have you heard Ocala, Florida, Cyberfest in September? Are you coming? Because I've heard a rumor that I will be there. But it's a single source rumor at this point, and you know how I don't like to report on those. If I get a second source, then I'll of course confirm. But
hey, Brian, I heard a rumor.
Yeah,
Then you got a second source.
yeah. Well, I have to qualify the sources. No, actually, I did hear it from a second source. I've got it from myself, which is one, and also I'll be staying at Justin the Bearded Tesla Guy's house. So I guess that is 2. I guess it's confirmed, and so that'll be a lot of fun. And then in October, I'll be at the Vegas Light Show event, and I might even be going to Fully Charged here in a couple weekends. To which Patrick could join that. So you guys, come on, join me. What are we doing?
That is an impressive schedule.
Yeah.
Exactly. So Brian, you let us know just before the show started that you've ordered a couple more lemon trees. What are they for?
I have I get a lot of grief when I'm on the road, and it's understandable that people miss my good friend Lemon Tree when I'm gone. When I had an event, a little get together at my house, I brought the lemon tree to the front porch. People were like, "My gosh, you have these things everywhere." I'm like, "No, that's the one." But yeah, I went ahead and purchased a Christmas tree air freshener of the yellow variety, which I will be taking on the road with me, so that my viewers at home don't feel too much, disconnect when things are remote.
May I suggest you get one of those dancing plants that you put on your dashboard, and it's activated by solar? Just put a couple lemons in it, and you've got it.
I'm still not sure where I'll put it in my background. I'll have to bring like thumbtacks or something.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, Brian. We appreciate it. Let's get to the news this week. Casey, were you going to take that first story?
So first up, we've got some more NACS revolution. Or Charger Coalition. Nissan's been added to the coming soon list on Tesla.com. So, but not just that, but they've been added to the top of the list. So folks are speculating that maybe they are next, because it used to be General Motors at the top. And
that's a good point. I was going to say, what happened to General Motors? They were supposed to be second in the list, or maybe third. Depends on where you want to slot in Rivian. But definitely they were right after Ford, and nothing. There hasn't been anything about them joining the NACS at all. There hasn't been any schedules. There's been delays for people that ordered the adapter.
Right. To
what
the point
is
where
going on with GM?
On Ford's side, you had they are giving you an extension to get your adapter if you don't have it yet for free. I'm guessing once that runs out, then you got to pay for it like everybody else. And I'm wondering, perhaps maybe because Nissan was very late to the party. Perhaps because they are so small. You're only talking about the Aria here because they're not making the adapter for the Leaf. Well, they probably should, because you get CHAdeMO to CCS and then CCS to NACS. But anyway.
Well, my theory is that GM has just been too busy leading to do anything good. And of course, Nissan realized that the biggest problem they have is that they need to charge all over the area. How do you say it again?
Aria.
So since there are so few Aria, we're talking about maybe a couple thousand versus all of GM's fleet. GM was doing quite well, just like Tesla and Nissan. They sold out of their original credits right away. But maybe that's just an easier, just get them out of the way. They're done because there's only a handful of them, and then we tackle GM. Or maybe there have been a lot of vehicles at GM getting their updates, so it's just a matter of probably supply that's holding them back, or maybe they need to test these updates. But
it'll be great to get the adoption done, and not because just having a standard plug is helpful. That is helpful, but because the Supercharger network is so much better in Europe, where all cars are already on the same standard and everyone can already charge everywhere. I'll tell you from personal experience, the town I was staying in did not have a Tesla supercharger. And Jan from Tesla Fix, who I was staying with, he would have to go to whichever station was handy. And they were never handy. They were always a hassle. And you just, the experience is not the same. You remember there was that recent, maybe 6 months ago, where the transportation secretary brought in an expert to talk about just how difficult it is to drive. We drove a variety of non-Teslas across the country, and it sucked.
Right.
I
yes.
feel like there's
Non-Tesla
a
being
missing
the key.
piece.
Yeah. I wonder what was missing in that non-Tesla puzzle. Yes.
So it'd be interesting if
Nissan
Nissan is the one that's going to jump ahead into the queue. And as Casey said, they only have the Aria, so there's not a lot of vehicles that are going to be able to take advantage, because it's not like the Aria has been flying off the shelves as purchase. But my question would be, why didn't they just design, the three-way for the Leaf? So you've got two different plugs that have to plug into the CCS, which then goes to the CHAdeMO, which then goes to the NACS. So you've got this nice long daisy chain, and that would eliminate the problem of not having a long enough cord, because you've got
the Leaf has the nose, so you got to do the nose in, and you've got it right there. So the cord wasn't a problem for the Leaf.
Yeah, the one that doesn't need the length is the one that
exactly.
That's so sad.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I just looked at I did just look it up. 2023, 13,400 Arias sold in the US.
Yeah, so not a
Less
lot.
than GM sold of cars with CCS. But I'm
Crazy.
wondering though, like they could have said, hey, here's the third-party solution. We didn't make it. We tested it. We authorized it. And then do the software update for the Leaf as well. And then you just have to buy your second adapter if you have a Leaf. And then the Leaf wouldn't be left in the dust.
I wonder if liability. I wonder if liability would be the issue. They would not want to. They would not want to trust somebody else's system, even if they have tested a few units. They could be holding themselves out to get sued if something was to go wrong with the said unit.
I'm going to go with Mark on that one, though. I'm going to go with Mark on that one because one fire is one fire too many for publicity's sake.
We saw in South Korea.
Yeah. And, hydrogen fortunately doesn't have that problem. Oh, wait. But I think the other problem is they charge so slow.
Oh, yes. Because I think they kept it at 62 for the new one. And
50 for the old one.
And 50 for the old one. And so you'd have to, one, like I said, if you like you guys said, it wouldn't make sense to authorize a third-party adapter. So you'd have to buy the adapter from those folks, relabel it, sell it in parts for a markup, and then give away the NACS to CCS adapter.
Quick poll amongst the people here. What do you think? What manufacturer do you think will have a NACS adapter installed first in their vehicle that is publicly saleable? Who do you think it'll be? What manufacturer? Casey.
Ford? Okay, yeah, you go for it.
Poll in. I'm not put polls in the chat. So for me, I still think that it's logical to do GM next because they were next in line. But if it is a supply crunch, then this Nissan thing makes sense.
Okay.
Oh, do you mean native charging or native NACS port?
Native NACS port.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
On the vehicle.
Yeah. So native NACS port. We've got Rivian just moved their NACS port to the correct side of the car.
Yeah, but it has to be the first one saleable. What do you think?
Well, the R2 is not going to be it because it's not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with some kind of Ford.
Okay.
Yeah,
Brian, what do you think?
I'm saying it's Ford because they were the first to jump on it, and they feel the most serious of the domestic brands, and the non-domestic brands were the last ones to jump on board. They thought they could just ride this out. Why should we change? We sell them with different ports in different places. It's a lot of engineering work. It looks simple. You think we'll just swap out the port. It's not. It's never that simple. And it's like even the Rivian having the flashlight in the door. I said, you got to get rid of it if you want to bring your cost down. You're adding $4 of utility for, well, I mean, that's how much utility it adds. And really, I've got a light on my phone, but the engineering that goes into it, people don't understand the extra stamping, the extra materials, the extra QC, the extra warranty. Every little change gets real expensive in a hurry, which is why manufacturers like to share the parts bin, why they like to not do constant changes the way Tesla does, and even why Tesla doesn't like to completely throw out models even when it feels like they should.
Patrick, a surprise contender. Volkswagen will surprise us on this. I don't think they're going to be in the front, but it's going to be like, whoa, all the problems you guys had, you pulled that out of thin air because of their Rivian connection.
Patrick, what do you think?
Ford, definitely, it's their race to lose. They had the head start. They had the relationship with Tesla. They're the ones that kind of kicked off the whole. They were the first broken window, as the theory goes. But since that answer has been taken repeatedly, I'll say Polestar, just to pick something else.
So I had a chance to go to the Polestar showroom last week with the OEVA, and they are now manufacturing Polestar 3s in South Carolina. Apparently that began this week.
Awesome.
And I'd be curious. I don't think those have the NACS yet. Guys, come on. But maybe they will.
Yeah, they are on the coming soon list.
Yeah, I would say if it's not Ford, then it'll be GM simply because of the smattering of models they're going to have. So eventually we'll come to one that's a fresh sheet that was after the announcement, and boom, that'll be having NACS on it. But so far, everything.
My guess would be GM as well. I'm just thinking that they have a whole bunch of Ultium battery vehicles that they're releasing over time.
Yeah.
But again, not in great volume. But I got to believe that one of them is going to come out with a NACS plug sooner than later. But we shall see. Maybe we'll push this to the Twitter poll, and we'll see what the audience thinks as well.
I'm really hoping that they'll prove us all wrong, and since obviously model year 2025 didn't do it, hopefully January 2025 comes around and we see like a mid-cycle bump, and all of a sudden they've all got NACS ports to prove us all wrong. That would be phenomenal, but that's wishful thinking. So don't hold your breath.
Well, in the chat, I see JT24 is still hoping for Aptera, who was the first company to announce that they would be using the NACS connection. I am also crossing my fingers for Aptera, but we ain't there yet.
Yes, indeed. It's been a long road for them, and they release information here and there, but you're right. There's no real solid date on when the first units are going to be sold yet. So
speaking of Aptera, in my circles, there was someone who was doubting, not like, I guess circles is another social media, but in my Twitter circles, my X circles, there was a gentleman who was doubting on Aptera because it's niche, and got a reply back from Steve Fambro directly. I was like, wow, Mr. Aptera himself got you.
Cool.
Next, let's roll to the main story today, and that is, of course, about the TeslaSemi. And Tesla's business development head went to X and indicated that they are taking steps to bring the Semi to Europe. After the group posted some job postings for that position for the European market. So we, of course, had heard this from Elon direct some time ago about bringing the Semi to other markets outside of North America, but nothing specific was actually said. And another post Elon had talked about, wouldn't it be nice to have a built Semi at the Gigafactory in Berlin? So that was mentioned some time ago as well. So with this new job posting that was sent out just last week, it looks like there is some hope that there will be a Semi in Europe at some point. We did talk about the possibility of this some time ago, and we talked a little bit about the differences between the North American truck market and the European truck market when it comes to the size of the rigs. And of course, here in North America, there's a limit on the trailer size, but there's no limit on the actual cab that pulls it. So that's why you find a lot of rigs here have the long or huge hoods that are out front, whereas in Europe, they measure them with the tractor and the trailer together, and there's a maximum size. So there's a lot of cab overs in Europe because they've got the motor underneath the driver to save on space of the overall distance of the vehicle. So this becomes something that, again, maybe with Tesla taking steps, it indicates that they're either at or under the trailer and tractor measurement, or maybe they're looking at shortening things or just making them fit certain standards. Maybe there could be many things that they're working on, but at least it's good to see that, you know, moving the electrification of these rigs over Europe would make complete sense, and you'd have a lot of companies which are looking for zero emission mandates that they have within the company to pick up these trucks. So, and again, with Tesla starting out with the Gigafactory production of these units, wouldn't it be nice that they could work in either market and you just, you know, basically double your market overnight? I'm sure it's not that simple, but it will be interesting to see.
I think it'll be easier than the competition, though, because that was something that came up when we started talking about Europe months ago. The length difference between the TeslaSemi versus a U.S. market Semi versus the cab overs is not really that great. In fact, I believe we determined that the Semi actually fits in the envelope, like maybe 3 inches too long compared to a cab over. And with Mark II, they should be able to handle 3 inches somewhere.
So what I'd seen last year was a proposal that said the U.S. is something like 25 meters maximum length, nose to tail, and that's I want to say 9 or 10 meters longer than the EU allows, and that they were working to ease that restriction.
Just like the EV exemption on weight.
It already had a 2-ton exemption on weight, just like allowance, just like the US, but it's 2 metric tons, and I don't remember which one's bigger.
Brian, how are these US officials figuring out the metric?
Well, that's not a U.S. official. No, they would measure it in hamsters or Freedom Big Macs. Big Macs per Freedom, I think. Touchdown is how we do it.
So that'll be interesting. And of course, if Giga Berlin could make the rig there, certainly they could supply all of Europe without any possibility of tariffs, because of course they're made in the EU. They're employing EU people at their own plants, so that would work out well. Now, if they could somehow combine that the two rigs are the same, then you've got the additional savings that you've doubled your market, and you could source local parts from Europe as well, and do what they've done with the Model 3 or the Model Y. So it would be interesting to see if they're going to try to have that type of parity between the two markets.
We saw them start that with the oldest Model X. The taillight clusters are world clusters. That's why we have rear fog lights and amber turn signals from the beginning instead of that stupid red garbage. And with it being a centrally located cab, you don't have to worry about left-hand drive, right-hand drive, or the reacher accessory that they give you if you buy a legacy platform over there. And
the T-Rex pause.
Yeah.
The T-Rex toll collector.
Exactly. And then with the Matrix headlights, you don't have to worry about when you cross the border with the films and lenses and stuff. It can just change the pattern of the lights. I would say this could be their first universal. Completely, just like, hey, this is the same truck worldwide, especially when you consider that the charging is going to be the same if they use MCS, because MCS is worldwide. Although hopefully they also have charging for like owner operators.
I think that Tesla, looking for all the savings they can, probably make them look at, especially since it's their first product, is like, let's make a world truck that goes anywhere, just like we can do that with our cars. It would make a lot of sense. So we will see as this story moves along. Next, let's move into this is Patrick's going to tell us a little bit about a Model Y story.
That is right. So the Tesla Model Y is Germany's best-selling BEV in July, and so far for all of 2024. So ICE vehicles still have a 35% market share, diesel about 18%, hybrids up to 34%, and BEVs coming in at 13%, or about 31,000 units. So there were 1,900 Model Ys made in July, making it the #1 BEV. And the top 5 rounds out with the Skoda, the Cupra Seatborn, the MG4, and the Fiat 500e. So do you notice anything about that top 5?
It's small and European.
Skoda is from the Czech Republic. Seat is a Spanish company. MG is owned by SAIC, a Chinese company. Fiat is part of Stellantis, which is French, Italian, US, and headquartered in the Netherlands. So multinational. But Volkswagen took 7th place with only 1,278 ID4s and ID5s sold in the country.
So I'll interject here. Seat is a wholly owned subsidiary of Volkswagen, and a lot of the design language is shared. So I would call that a Volkswagen.
Yeah, like you don't even have to squint to see the Volkswagen in them.
yeah, certainly visually. But it's a Chinese company, and there's all kinds of requirements for profit sharing and ownership, and
I thought this story was kind of interesting. It kind of dovetails into our last week's story about the Giga Berlin's operations manager or plant manager talking about how volume is going to dictate the expansion plans for Giga Berlin.
Right.
Whereas this is the number one BEV at this point, based on volume in July. Obviously, just one data point, but the Model Y has been a fantastic seller in Europe as a whole for quite some time, contributing to its number one world status. But this is kind of interesting as to what type of volume are they looking for in order to start putting some shovels in the ground for that expansion. Brian, do you have any thoughts on that topic?
No. Hope this helps. Will they expand? So I think all thoughts of expansion are kind of on hold until 10/10 when we find out more. I think, I mean, it's driving me crazy, as you can imagine. My big thing on expansion, I should have mentioned this earlier, is we know how small the footprint can be for the semi factory, and the one they got room in Shanghai or in Berlin, they could do that. And I think, like all of you were saying, that just makes sense. But I think I am really getting annoyed with the lack of squares to count.
You just love zooming in on those pixels and picking out concrete castings.
It's like a mental illness. It's like I've got some. It's for real, because I would like have a video up in the living room and I'd be on, and everyone's like, "What on earth are you just like?" This is my job, okay? And even when we were trying to figure out why they were putting so few Model Ys on the semi trailers, and it is of course because of weight, I'd be driving down the highway and I'd be counting how many cars are on each trailer. They're like, why?
Because when they suddenly add another Model Y, it obviously tells you either it's a shorter range battery or they've changed something.
Yes.
Why do I get this picture of Jack Nicholson at the keyboard in The Shining when your family comes in to see you working? I'm working.
Got the big conspiracy board behind me.
You get that one, or you got the dude when he gets that letter in his seat.
So if SAIC and Volkswagen have this relationship, why wouldn't they brand them VW in Germany?
My speculation would be because the VW brand isn't worth that much in the Seats, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, so why wouldn't? Because it's a different trim level. It's like Pontiac versus a Chevy. It's, if you look at the cars that are clearly the same car, they will still keep the branding separate for trim reasons. The Seats are more of a young people's car. They're typically sportier and more fun. And the inside trim looks more like a gamer chair than an actual office chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Here's a quick share of some Cybertrucks doing the light show. And of course, you can tell from its bleak-looking area, this has got to be the moon.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think that's right.
It's I don't know how they do with the low atmosphere, but they got them there anyway. So, and of course, they were probably got there by Starship. That it was a quiet launch mission. No one knew about it, just so they could shoot this video.
Right? The Starship is very subtle when it takes off. It's easy to miss one.
Cybertruck does look right at home on the moon.
Yep.
It does.
It absolutely does.
So you mentioned 1010. I was really hoping that something like a software update would drop on 8.8 just because it was already in motion.
Yeah, if I wasn't so busy on 8.8, I was going to live stream all day as if the event was still going to happen, you guys. Still going to happen. Get some people out on the street. I'm there. I'm here. Nothing's happening. Yeah, I must be early, but yeah.
Trolling is fun.
Yes, indeed. That would have been classic, Brian. You had to do
I
that.
know.
That would have been classic. But let's look at the next story. Casey, were you able to grab a picture for us for our next story?
I didn't get the picture, but I did get the whole website.
Well, let's take a look.
Because this is quality journalism. I can just feel it coming.
So there was a little bit of a, you might call it odd-shaped rain. Let's take a look. Sentry mode here.
Oh, what was that bouncing off the hood? No, the window.
Yeah.
Scales.
And here's the damage.
Wow. So a fish drops from the sky in New Jersey.
As they do.
As they do. Bounces off this guy's windshield and smashes it. Now, the fish doesn't look as bad as the photo we're looking at right now, but definitely that would have been a bit of a shocker to find your car look like in their driveway and smash the window and found a rotting fish next to it with some scales and blood missing.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how much blood remains. I don't think that fish is going to make it.
Yeah, and with the windshield crashed, it doesn't matter if it's bloody. You weren't fixing that either. So,
hockey days to practice run to Sharknado.
Okay,
exactly.
Yeah, but just imagine you're coming out in the morning, you're about to get in your car, and you're like, "What? What the what? Where'd this fish come from? And why's my window broke? Who is messing with me?"
Which one of you? Yeah, no, but Tesla's in the headline, and you know why it is? Because it makes people click, including us, apparently. Because I hadn't seen that, but if I had, I'd have clicked.
It is an unusual story.
So
I know what I'm about.
The speculation here, I guess, is that the fish was either in a bird's mouth that dropped it from on high, or the only thing I could think of is possibly a water spout pulled it up along. But I would think the whole neighborhood would be littered with fish or other aquatic animals. But there is...
Well, it could be that the whole neighborhood is, and that only one of them hit something that was damaged. Birds and raccoons might have grabbed all the rest by then. No, for real. I mean,
if it wasn't a large, like 20 fish or 100 fish instead of like thousands,
right.
Yeah,
and
if it sucked up, like a few square meters worth of water in one area, then that might only have a couple fish in it. So
yeah, or Poseidon has had it with his couple. New Jersey. Yeah. Come on.
If that was around here, I would assume that one of the planes that are doing firefighting swoops into a lake and scoops up some water, and
that makes sense.
It had a fish in it that jumped out, and
said, "I'm free. I'm out of here."
Exactly. I'm a flying fish now.
1,000 feet in the air.
I'm gonna fly for the rest of my life.
Can't argue with that. Oh. So the reason that if it was any car other than a Tesla, you wouldn't have Sentry mode and the forward-facing camera that just happened to capture the whole thing, and that makes it far more interesting to put on the news.
Yes,
absolutely. Nothing like the catching the fish bouncing off the windshield for the win, for sure.
I don't know if that was a use case when they tested Sentry mode, but it worked.
Yeah, like we don't
right at the top of the list.
We don't care about bulletproof. We want fish proof.
I'll tell you, it definitely wasn't. Because remember, my car, your guys' cars too, shipped without Sentry mode. We got them, and I installed a dash cam on mine because it didn't have Sentry mode.
Right.
So the next Tesla unveil will have Elon and Franz rolling out a fish cannon just to make sure that the next vehicle is fish proof.
Oh, and they have to use the Monty Python bit.
There you go. That's right. Yep. Oh my goodness. We have dragged this one on way too long.
It's a good way to trim a hedge. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Next, Patrick's got a story this is Casey. Casey's got a story. What's this about, Casey?
So the headline is Tesla improves crucial safety feature to MCU1 vehicles in new update. Now, I think the headline was a little misleading. Yes, it was in, but that implies all the cars. And no, it seems like it would be just the MC1 cars with either hardware 2 and above, or maybe possibly AP1, but I don't really think so. They have the well, yeah, it could be autopilot 1. They have the automatic emergency braking is now tuned for up to 100 miles per hour instead of 90. It doesn't mean you can set your speed limit that high, but it now works better. And the cars with the rear cameras, the extra rear cameras, when you're in reverse, it's got a little bit of the cross traffic warning. The same as you see on the newer cars. So it can't see everything, but if it does see something, it will try and give you the muddy pedals so that you're not just smacking into something behind you that the car can see.
So what year model do you think goes through MCU1?
MCU1 is the initial car from 2012.
Well, right, but when did it end?
It ended in 2017.
That's still quite a few cars, and only some of them are getting the update.
Right. AP1 and AP 2.0 existed on that system.
I did look at when I was trying to buy a Tesla. I did look at an AP0 Model X and declined because no, I'm not doing that.
Every Model X has autopilot hardware.
Yes, but he didn't do the upgrade, and I said, "Is it something that can still be done?" He's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "You should check." Have a nice day. Have a good one. And yeah, because there's a lot of cars in the Marvel Cinematic Universe 1, I think is what that stands for.
Yes, exactly.
Exactly.
Some folks are suggesting that the reason this came about is because in the latest update, in the summer update, MCU1 finally got FSD version 12.3.6. For some people, it's their first update in years, and for other people who paid up to $12,000, this is their first update ever.
Wasn't it 15,000 briefly?
It was 15,000
recently, but yeah, not on these ones.
Hopefully, if you bought one of these used, you didn't pay the 15.
Yeah, that would not feel.
Although
good.
if you added it in the shop, that's what it would have cost.
Well, it was like 3 for the base, like EAP, and then 5 for autopilot for FSD, and then it started to jiggle upward, and then Elon's like, it's never going down, and so fools like me bought it, and then it immediately went down for like 6 months, and then it started creeping back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was never 15K during the MCU1 days.
Right. Yeah. If you had an MCU1 and paid $15,000 for it, you bought it used, and you were really for the mission. And
oh, I guess
there's a lot of people. I've heard many people that bought FSD expecting the dream of full self-driving in the future, and a lot of them are just never going to get that money back. Like the vehicle is never going to achieve that in the time that they own it. Even if they held on to it for a long time, just put it in the barn waiting for FSD to be upgraded, I don't think Tesla is going to be upgrading, because the number of those units keeps dropping every year because those cars are getting retired or sold to somebody else or moved on, and it's being forgotten about it. Or
FSD is being transferred off of those to newer vehicles. That's
true.
One advantage of the transfer.
Yeah.
Or the crash.
And that's the really the only hope with somebody that has this to get FSD is to transfer it off and at least use it for that purpose, which would be, at this point, transfer as soon as you can, because that the end is coming and you're not going to get FSD with that older unit.
I would add to that. I think Tesla should just say, if you're on MCU1, you do get a free transfer.
Yeah, that would make complete sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're ready, here, transfer. None of this,
not in the quarter sale demand lever, but all the time, anytime you need it. Yeah.
Because as Casey had mentioned, these people bought it for the mission. They knew they weren't going to get it anytime soon. It was just a future promise. Yep. So honor the promise, as Brian says, by just allowing them to transfer at any time they buy another Tesla. And
Unlike
The other thing I've
Move it
been
along.
any of it, like we at least got to get the features as they came in. These folks, this like I said, some of these people, this is their only update to FSD ever. Like it shows up, and
wow.
others like they got in before they pulled the update. This is their first update in over a year.
The other thing I think would be a fantastic idea to lock in the price is say, if you sign up for the subscription, you are future proof to increases. That I think would get a lot of people to pay the $100 a month now, just
Yeah.
knowing that it's never going to be more than $100 a month, no matter
Yeah.
how good it gets. And I think that would improve cash flow tremendously. All of that's real money that counts at the end of the month when the product is delivered completely. And Wall Street loves recurring revenue. So I think that would be a win-win.
Especially versus the way it's worded now, is it could go up on you. And if they would put that in there, like, hey, we'll grandfather you in, and unless you let your subscription lapse for some reason, or that would, as Brian was saying, it'd be money in the bank, mailbox money.
Right, because right now you could say, "Oh, hey, it's summertime. We're going to go on vacation. I'll get it for 3 months, and at the end of that, I'll turn it back off." But if you knew that keeping it meant that if it goes up to 130, 150, that you got to keep paying that 99. All right, I liked it. I'll just keep it year round, so I don't have to worry about that going up later. Sounds like a good plan.
Yep.
Thank you.
Next, let's talk a little bit about our friends at JD Power.
JD
And again,
Power.
I don't get this group, but okay, we've got this story that came out this week that guess what? The Tesla Supercharger is the best in class, says JD Power. Okay,
Surprise, surprise. Says anybody who's used them.
right. I don't think they had a choice.
Not a big surprise here. It certainly would have been a much bigger surprise if they had picked somebody else that had a more reliable or robust EV charging network.
Amp up, charge up network in Arizona is the best.
Exactly.
Well, what they've done in the past is when they don't want to list Tesla as number one, they just say not eligible for ranking because they won't give us their data. But in this, it'd be
or their money.
Yeah, they won't play our games. How dare they not let us enrich ourselves at the expense of, come on. And then, but I think that's, leaving them off this list would have been very suspicious.
So they put them on the list as number one, the best network that there is in EV charging. But again, JD Power plays this game, as mentioned, that you really have to pay to play in most cases. You're paying them some sort of fee to be included in the lists that they create. And depending on how much you give them in advertising dollars or kickbacks or however they do it, they will put you up in the list based on how much they see from you.
No, Mark, it's not, we can't be cynical. They don't accept advertising. What happens is we give you an award that you totally deserved. And if you would like to put it in your ads, you have to license our name from us to advertise how cool we are. It's just licensing. I mean, we got to protect our brand, right? And if you're going to do that, we might invent entire new award categories for you.
Oh my gosh.
I see.
This is absolutely brutal.
Much less
mental
cynical,
gymnastics in a spreadsheet to say, in this little square, you are the which contains you are the best.
Right. We'll just keep adjusting the borders until we get the results.
Yeah, that is a cynical group. I don't know how they live with themselves. Well, obviously they live themselves with the money they collect, but watching this type of survey of polling the audience as to what is the best by who licenses their name from them the most or pays the most to do so is absolutely bonkers. So obviously. And you see JD Power moving outside of automobiles. That's what their mainstay was. But next there's going to be they'll be advertising for diaper companies. Who's got the best diaper? JD Power says Pampers is the number one brand. Like it's ridiculous. But what those diapers are full of is what I think JD Power should be connected to. So.
Oh, look at that segue.
That was a long walk. That was a long walk, but I'm here for it.
You gotta. You can't let Consumer Reports run away with all the questionable ratings. You might as well get in on it. Give them a little competition.
I wish there was a Razzies for electric vehicles. We should start that. You know, I think
That's
it'd be great.
interesting.
Best brick. I mean, yeah.
Best charging cable that never works.
I think the Cybertruck would win best phone heater.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that they get quite toasty.
They do. They do.
Very good. Well, let's wrap up this week. We thank everyone for joining. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up in the video. Press that subscribe button. Help us out. And, of course, let's start with Casey. What do you got going for us this week, Casey?
Well, on Friday, you've got us on the Tesla Life Express right here. Same time, same place. On Sunday, you've got me over at youtube.com/Casey Green for just chatting with Casey and friends. You might recognize some of the friends that show up sometimes. And then again on Monday, we've got another Tesla Life Express right back here. And then Wednesday, you can catch us live again.
Perfect. Patrick, what do you got going?
I blog occasionally at carswithcords.net. And as always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. And over there on my blog, I write about my future free from fossil fuels. And we were just talking about the power walls. I just got my July electricity bill, and it was negative $220. So there you go.
Wow.
And of course, I'll be writing about that soon.
That is awesome. Brian from FutureAZA, what do you got to shell today?
Well, I did start off the show with it. I do have in September, the beginning of September, I may be at fully charged, not sure yet. And if I am and you see me around, say hello by all means. Later in September, I will be at Ocala, Florida for Cyberfest, apparently confirmed. You heard it here first. And then in October, I will be at the Las Vegas Tesla Lightshow, and then maybe I'll get some rest at some point. I've been invited to Malaysia in February for their TeslaCon, so we'll see if that becomes a thing. But apparently word is getting out that I may know what I'm talking about, and I may promote events that I attend like crazy. So it's a lot of fun. And what else is going on with me? I don't know. You could just head on over to, oh, there it is. Damn it. FutureAZA, on X or on YouTube, and find out for yourself. I am up to, 1,750 videos or something now.
Wow.
I do a couple is what I guess I'm saying. And it's a bit of work. So thank you all for the journey. And I enjoy being on this show, and I love all three of you. I was tempted to say all two and let you guess who I don't like.
Well, I know you have Mark on the show every once in a while because you asked, hey, do Pat and Casey watch this? And the answer is yes.
I don't know. So I'm just always surprised when other creators watch my show because creators have very high standards and very little time. So that's an honor to me, and I appreciate it.
Well, with that, I think we will wrap the show. Thanks again for Brian for joining us from FutureAZA. And of course, we'll put a link in the show notes if you'd like to connect with Brian's show on YouTube and Twitter feed. And we thank everyone for joining us. And we will see you next time on the Tesla Life.
Stay positive, test negative. Thank you, Lee Moon.